The Sanitary Standards Part 1 and 2 tasks can be extremely frustrating if you don't know where to look or if you're running the wrong maps without checking a few key areas expecting to find gas analyzers. Even the task intro from Therapist herself is misleading. If she had her way, we'd be running factory until the American political system gets a third party, but we're not going to do that. We're going to show you the best containers to look for on maps that you're running to get your other tasks done, and then we're going to show you the 2 best maps to find these gas analyzers on. First, let's talk about containers that spawn gas analyzers from best to worst. The reason containers are important is that it allows you to adjust your map strategy on these maps where there are few or no loose loot gas analyzers that you might be running to get your other tasks done. The most important containers are going to be the tech crates, the medical crates, and drawers. Tech crates seem to have the highest spawn chance of any container, and while the drawers may not have a super high chance per se, you're generally looting large groups of them at once, ergo increasing your odds compared to, say, a sports bag, which also spawns gas analyzers, by the way. Toolboxes, dead scav bodies, hidden stashes, and jackets can also spawn these, so be sure you're adjusting your routes to maximize your ability to loot these containers when traversing the early maps. If you get hard stuck behind gas analyzers, or you just want to get the task out of the way, let's go over the 2 best maps to get done. Let's start with the second place map, and that's Reserve. This map not only has a significant amount of loose loot chances for gas analyzers, but also a ridiculous amount of drawers as well, further increasing your chances. You already know which containers to look for, so only thing I'm going to mention about containers is that if you have the PSV or PSP keys in the underground area, it can be huge since it has a significant amount of tech and medical crates, and also both night buildings are great for drawers and jackets in a concentrated area. If you're not sure where to look, check out tarkov.dev and filter by container type to make it easier for you to adjust your map strategy. The majority of the loose loot spawns in Reserve are concentrated in 2 areas. First of those areas is the King building. There are quite a few throughout this building, in and around any server racks you see, as well as on top of a certain few boxes. There are 2 rooms with these racks on the first floor of King and 1 in the garage. The back shelf in garage can also spawn electronics, so be sure you check that as well. You'll notice as we loot through, I'm checking under the racks in the tray as well as on top of a few of the units. The loose loot down in the tray I don't see very often, but it's worth checking since there are mostly electronic spawns which can presumably also spawn gas analyzers. It is common to find them on top of the units set aside for the rack, however, and at times you can't really see that loot unless you get really close due to the loot spawning inside of the graphic of the equipment. You can see a good example of that here. We can see the loot icon light up, so we know something's there, but there's definitely no graphic for the item laying on the unit. There is one last place to check, and after you go up the stairs on the second floor of King, just to the left of the stairwell, there is a room where you need to check on top of these boxes, and definitely on top of the green containers as well. The last area in Reserve you're going to want to check is down in D2 or near it. Below D2, down these stairs, you're going to find a bunch more of those server racks. You want to check in and around those the same way you did with the other units, and then as well on top of any boxes, inside of any boxes down here, just in case. I have seen them spawn inside of boxes on the table as well as the wire spools. Go back upstairs, and on the metal scaffolding there are additional server rack units you need to check, and at the end of this scaffolding you can find a door that is broken off of one of the units. Be sure you check on top of that door because that is a loose loot spawn as well. Then head into D2. There is an additional spawn on this counter here on the ledge, as well as around the corner back by this equipment that is down on the floor, or it's actually on that hand truck there. As you can see, Reserve is a good choice for getting gas analyzer, and if you're still looking for Saluas on top of it, then it's a great choice. If you're still trying to do shortage, be sure to check out our video on Salua spawns for Reserve. Moving on to the best map for gas analyzer spawns, and that's Interchange. This map has the highest number of loose loot spawns for gas analyzers, which are far and away the most reliable method of obtaining them. While doing the Fence GG Scab tournaments, there was an Interchange run where I found 6 gas analyzers in one raid using these spawn points, so this is definitely a productive route. As we run through these loose loot spawns, don't neglect the drawers or sports bags along the way. We're going to start off in Power. There are 2 potential loose loot spawns on the shelves in the Office of Power, one here and then another here. After we hit Power, there are a handful of spawns inside the Idea office storeroom. This is located on the far north side of IDEA, adjacent to the office. The blue shelving units can spawn gas analyzers in a few different spots, so be sure to check the empty areas of each shelf carefully and on each side. After you've done that, let's move into the office, and on the desk near the front entry there are 2 potential spawns as well, one to the left and one more so on the desk that faces the front entrance. Now we're going to move upstairs into the other end of the mall to check Light. If you get to this location at the very beginning, it's not quite as dangerous, but this, along with Mantis, are the 2 hottest areas once PMCs have had time to enter the mall. Be very careful on your approach. If you're coming from the IDEA side, use the support beam to ensure the area is clear prior to moving in. Once you're there, there's a veritable smorgasbord of tech spawns, and pretty much any shelf here can spawn a gas analyzer, so spawn the area carefully, but keep in mind the longer you spend here, the more likely it is you're going to run into someone. If you've checked TechLight, it's time to go downstairs and into Texho. This store is probably one of the most reliable locations for gas analyzers in the game, so be sure you check all of the shelving and on top of the counters which are behind the register. If you're the first one to this store, it has a great chance to spawn your gas analyzer, and the second store is almost as good but just has fewer spawns, and that's Rasmussen. There are multiple spawns on the perimeter countertop. Be sure you check inside of these boxes as well, because sometimes they can hide the spawn from view on occasion. There are also spawns on some of the tables in the middle of the store as well. In the middle of the mall, there's a store across from Mantis called German. There is a singular tech spawn in the middle of the store on one of these counters, so if you're nearby, you should probably check that. A little bit further down across from Emercom, there's also a single tech spawn in the TTS store, which is on the metal shelving and countertops that are closest to Emercom, so be sure you check that as well. I didn't put it in the video here, but I'm going to note it and place it on the map so you can see where it is. And let's get to the final area, and that's the Ollie store. We could probably spend another 10 minutes talking about how to loot this store, but it really isn't that complicated. The important parts to remember are that there are spawns literally all over this store on the shelving units. Majority of the gas analyzer spawns though are towards the front, but they absolutely can spawn at the back in a few places, so give this place a thorough look. It is easiest to turn yourself to look down both sides of the shelf simultaneously so that you can kind of see anything sticking up rather than going up and down both sides of the shelf. It'll save you a significant amount of time once you figure out how to do this. Once you've checked the front shelves, there is a spawn along the east wall behind the self-checkout area, so rotate towards the back and check that as well. Then you want to check the shelving, which is in the far southwest corner of the store. You'll often see like propane tanks here or gas analyzers on these shelves as well. If you manage to get half of these areas on interchange in one run, you've got a pretty solid chance at a gas analyzer with each raid. In fact, once you get to know the rotations, you're pretty much guaranteed at least one. So there you have it, folks. Finding gas analyzers doesn't have to be a nightmare. With the right knowledge and strategies, you can fairly efficiently find them and get back to focusing on your other tasks. Remember, the key to success is knowing where to look and optimizing your routes. Whether you're rummaging through containers or exploring the hotspots on reserve and interchange, every bit of preparation counts. So by following these tips, you'll be well on your way to completing these tasks with ease, and hopefully this guide helps make one of the tougher items to find early wipe in Escape from Tarkov a little less frustrating and a little bit more manageable. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. As always, happy hunting. If this guide helped you, you know what to do. Good luck out there, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.